Hey, it's May 25th, 2023. This is my video journal to record some of the things the Lord's been teaching me, and also feel kind of called to release this. Maybe somebody else needs to hear this, so I don't know. But he does. So the Lord's been talking to me a lot about fire. I was preparing for my Emmanuel Moment Connection group last month, and there's a lot that goes with that, but I'm just going to highlight a couple things. That the Lord has a passion to purify the church. He has a passion to purify our hearts, to bring us back into tov and alignment with his heart. And that happens in the holy place of his presence, okay? And he has a fiery heart of passion for his bride. And that's me, that's you if you're right with the Lord through Jesus Christ. And he's kindling that passion and desire in our hearts, right? And that happens in being rooted and grounded in his love and experiencing his presence and his love. So he started talking to me about learning to rest in his fire. What does it mean to rest in God's fire? And I thought of a lot of verses that you can probably think of too. But the Lord was actually highlighting Zephaniah 3:17 to me. And I came across a word study that day when he was highlighting that about that Kai Mentora did about that verse. And the verse goes something like this. The Lord is in your midst, a mighty warrior. He will quiet you with his love and rejoice over you with singing. And so I was reading what Chaim had to say about that, and it was interesting because quiet could also, in some versions, is rest, right? But it can actually be translated, he will rest in his love. So what does that mean? We don't translate it that because it doesn't seem to make sense in that place, but it actually does. So in our midst, like when we let the Lord into the midst of our heart, to the very inmost place of our heart, when our hearts are in that place of rest with him, then the Lord actually feels delight. There's like an love obsession with us, not just us loving the Lord. Like that delights him when his bride is in love with him and is surrendered in that place of intimacy with him. That brings him joy, and that releases his joy and his releases joy in us too. And so the Lord gave me a picture of this. We were praying. We were actually in warfare prayer. We were like binding and loosing, and we were worshiping. And, just backtracking, the Lord had been talking to me before about coming past the gates of, enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Coming past the gates of thanksgiving, coming past the courts of praise into the Holy of Holies. And I actually had a dream of the tabernacle, just like a drawing of it from an overhead view with the courts, and then the Holy of Holies is what the Lord was emphasizing. And how often do we go into worship, either just our own worship in private time with the Lord, or as a corporate body? How many times do we enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise, and then we stop? And we never quite get to that place where we come into his Sabbath rest, where we come into the bridal chamber, where we come into the Holy of Holies, where things are still, where our concerns or our desires and our things, they just melt away because we're in the presence of the King of Kings. We're in intimacy with him. We're in that place where we're hearing his voice, and we're in that place of Sabbath rest, right? That is, the Sabbath is a picture of coming into that true worship with the Lord, where we're actually in his presence, and there is a union, and there is something beautiful that happens in that place. So anyways, when we were in this warfare prayer session, Bella was singing this song, and one of the lines in her song was, I'm captivated by the beauty of your face. And we're singing to the Lord. And the Lord was singing back to us. And I was really weeping. And like, even when I pray about it now, I start weeping because, I don't know, I was in that connection place where the Lord, where I was feeling and experiencing not only are we captivated by his beauty, but when our hearts are in that alignment, in that place with him, you know, he's captivated with our beauty. I mean, he's captivated with our beauty. We're covered with the love of Christ. But when we are in that place where he's our love, right? And we want him more than anything else. And we're worshiping in the Spirit. We're in that place of true worship. That delights the Lord, and it delights his heart. And Kime says, you could translate it, he will rejoice over you with joy. He will be obsessed with his love for you, and he will rejoice over you with singing. Like, God loves to be in love, and he loves to be in love with his people, and he's made us that way to come into union, connection, harmony, intimacy with him. And it's in that place we have an intimacy key to help bring others into that place too. But yeah, that place of rest, that place of Sabbath rest with him is where the true worship happens, where that true union is, that place where you can hear the Lord's voice when you're in that place. And so he's been talking to me about that and letting me experience that, and that's really beautiful. And then I had this dream this morning of dancing, and he had shown me there was this dance of like golden leaves I was just dancing in these leaves. It was like they were encircling me and encasing me, and there was a harmony, like a song, right, with that dance. It wasn't like a song that you could hear. It was a visual song, and it was coming into harmony. And I just think, like, you know, when God created the world, everything was tov, and in the semantic roots there's an idea of being in harmony with God. That's what is good, is when we're in harmony with God, how God seeks to bring those things back into alignment with this harmony. And you think of songs, like, I'm not like super good at music or anything, but you know, when you hear people like singing in harmony, and there's this reciprocal, I don't know, there's this interaction that happens. That's what the Lord does with us. That's what we were experiencing in our prayer time when the Lord was singing back to us. And when we're in that place, right, and he's singing back to us, there's this you know, we enter with maybe we are entering with song, but then as he sings to us, his singing and his vibration of being in his presence is actually bringing us into alignment and harmony with him, right? When he sings to us, and then we can sing back in, you know, as he speaks into us, as he brings us into harmony, then our song back to him is actually in harmony with him, and there's this union. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I'm not very good at expressing it, but that's just this kind of idea. And so when I opened up my word study this morning after having this dream of just really being in this place of joy with the Lord and this dancing, like in this place in my dream, it was so peaceful and joyful, and it was it was just really, really beautiful. And it was really refreshing because I really needed that this morning. Actually, before I go into the psalm I was going, then I read in my reading Psalm 126. When the Lord brought back the captive ones of Zion, they were like those who dream. Then our mouths were filled with laughter and our tongue with joyful shouting. And they said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us, and we are glad. But it really just captured me, because it was like I was in this dream and then this connection with the Lord in my dream, and it was just so joyful. And it's like, you know, sometimes we get stuck, or like we're in warfare, or there's something that we're dealing with, and when the Lord breaks through with bringing us out of that kind of captivity, that's just so joyful, and it's like that. But anyways, I had read too about Psalm 118 and the verse where it says, "You pushed me violently so that I was falling, but the Lord helped me. The Lord is my strength and my song, and he has become my salvation." And Chaim was saying, this was in my Hebrew word study book. I had actually read it before and I reopened it. It was still at that page. But I was talking about how song could actually be translated as a participle, and actually the ancient Jewish sages translated as a participle instead of as a noun. Song, the Lord is my strength and my song. So it could be he is singing to me because he is my salvation. And just this idea of him singing to us, and yeah, just really beautiful. Him singing to us and us singing back to him and coming into that intimacy place with him. And that's where I want to be, and I hope that's where you want to be too. And I hope you're blessed by something from this. Bye.